Welcome to Pair at the Point, episode 4. This episode, we are going to cover the defense and goalie expansion draft options. If you haven't already, listened to episode 3. In episode 3, we cover the expansion draft forwards, the rules, and we kind of go over everything that pertains to all of that. So definitely let's check out that episode before you dive into this one.
Yeah, so it's good to have you back. I think we had a little bit of disagreement, but some interesting options on the defensive and goaltending side of things.
The fact that we disagree when we normally don't kind of proves that Hextall can make any decision at this point. There are so many options.
I think the defense is and the goaltending are both a little bit more clear-cut.
Agreed.
That's not to say that they're easy decisions. He could go into left field on them, but overall, I think the biggest issue with this is that we have a lot of money tied up in defense, and although the defense was solid this past season, some of the contributors, aren't necessarily the ones earning the biggest dollars, and we have $28.1 million tied up in just 6 defensemen, and that's counting a replacement level player in Ricola. So and Friedman. So we have Chris Letang, who has a no movement clause. I don't expect him to be asked to waive, so he will be one of our 3 protected players, barring something unforeseen. So that leaves Mike Matheson, Brian Dumoulin, Marcus Pettersson, Juuso Riikola, Mark Friedman, and Chad Weedle as available options for Seattle to take. Pierre-Olivier Joseph and John Marino are both exempt, as Pierre Joseph is he's a first-year pro at the NHL level, according to the NHL rules, and John Marino is a second-year pro according to their rules. Cody Ceci is a UFA, so it would be kind of pointless for Seattle to take him, considering they'd be able to talk to him in 10 days after the expansion draft, give or take. So, again, Letang will be covered. We have to choose between Matheson, Dumoulin, Pettersson, Friedman, Ruedel, and Riikola as to whom to protect. Who do we protect? So what are your thoughts, Jess?
So, I guess my second is Dumoulin. I think that's pretty set. I don't foresee us not protecting Dumoulin. We get a pretty solid player out of him every night. He's a good pairing. He's kind of the level-headed player that Letang needs. And I just don't really see us protecting anyone else over Dumoulin.
I don't either, and I think there's something to be said for the fact that so many players have been part of this trade frenzy from Rutherford's regime, and
Dumoulin he's at this point. Dumo is part of the core. Yeah. He's when you look at the core of the 3, Sid, Gino, Tang. Dumo's at the point now where I feel like he's part of that. And I think, if not for that reason alone, we hang on to him. And I just don't think we're going to find a defensive defenseman like him to replace him. And that's the thing. We don't have anyone who would fit into his role.
No. At least until the end of his contract, 2 seasons from now, I see him as pretty safe. No one's going to offer enough for him in a trade, and he hasn't limited no trade anyway, for it to be worthwhile. And he has been an essential part of us suppressing shots in our own zone. And he's one of the pure defensemen left in the league, like you said. He's going to get the second protection spot.
Yeah.
So really this whole debate boils down to who's going to be the third person protected. We may agree on this, actually.
Well, who I would protect and who I think they're going to protect are 2 different players.
Okay.
I personally would protect Matheson. Honestly, when you look at the group of players that are left, who else do you really protect in that group? Matheson, yes, you can look at his contract. You can look at the years he has left. You can, look at a lot of things. But I really think he gave us a great year, and he's young, and he has, he's just starting to be in his prime now because, defense take a little bit longer. I really think he is going to grow to be an excellent defenseman for us. And, Letang's getting older, and we're going to need someone who can play more minutes and, who can jump up on offense. We're going to basically need to replace Chris Letang as he ages. And, Chris Letang's a physical god, and I don't see him being any worse in the next couple of years. But I really think him and Matheson as like a 1-2 punch is a good strategy moving forward.
So I guess I agree with you. I think Matheson absolutely 100% deserves the third spot. And it gives me great concern that you're hearing things from the beat writers, such as Rossi, saying maybe they'll protect Friedman.
So that's who I think they're going to protect. And this is the main reason is because obviously Hextall likes Friedman. We hadn't seen enough of him. He was injured. He was out. He was a seventh defenseman, whatever. And the other reason I think that they would protect Friedman over Matheson is because I don't think they think anyone's willing to take Matheson's contract on. So I think that they think even if they don't protect him, he's safe. But honestly, isn't Friedman safe too?
Yes.
Like Friedman he was waived. No one's gonna look at all of our forwards that are available and be like, you know who I want? I need Mark Friedman on my team. Like, we do not need to protect Friedman. He's gonna be safe.
It's not like Mark Friedman was like this highly touted prospect either. He's a mid-level prospect.
It's also like for me, it's like a confidence thing.
Yeah.
For Matheson's confidence, you need to say, we believe in you. You're our third guy up. Like, we're protecting you. We want you here. We believe in you.
I'm sorry. Take the trades and all the other situations that happened in the last, 14, 15 months. Let's look at the Penguins team before the COVID outbreak and how porous they were defensively.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and the only thing that's changed.
Even like 2017, when we won our cup, our defense was like,
meh.
Like, Ron Hainsey was on our top unit. And I know that Letang was injured and all that, but like...
And Olimata turned the puck over 20 times.
We were not good defensively the last however many years.
Matheson came in and there was a lot of critique. He is a unique physical specimen. I don't see defensemen who are that big, move that quickly, up and down the ice, and still make plays. There were at least half a dozen times in this last series where he made sprawling plays on rushes from the Islanders and broke them up. We
also need to think that there's an offensive side of him that is untapped. And how many times did you say during the playoffs, like, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a Matheson goal. He's, it's coming. He's looking like he's going to score a goal. It's like you really were feeling him. And I agree. Like, all season, like, he just looks like he could have scored 10 more goals than he did.
He's very good at finding a shooting lane.
I think it's coming. I think you stick with him, and I think that the beast is unleashed in his scoring ability.
I mean, his shot, he has an uncanny ability to walk or to walk the line, find a shooting lane, but his shot is also just wicked hard because he's a big dude. So if he puts it all together, there's some serious potential there. I agree. I don't care that his contract is 4.8. You have a lot of money tied up in the defense, and to me, the obvious answer is that you replace Marcus Pettersson with the entry-level contract at P.O. Joseph. You unload Pettersson wherever you can.
And that's really the only thing that, is kind of, I think, unknown about what's going to happen. It's in my dream, I mean, I talked about my dream scenario a little bit in episode 3. My dream scenario is that Seattle takes Pettersson and he's gone, and we don't have to deal with it. But that's not going to happen when we have as many forwards. I already said it in the last episode. I think Zucker is the guy for Seattle. But at the end of the day, you need to find a way. There's a team somewhere who needs defense, who will take Pettersson.
He's 25.
Yeah, he's young. He has a lot going for him. And honestly, he's not a bad defenseman. We need to get rid of money. And he's, I think, in my opinion, the odd guy out. And he
needed shelter a lot down the stretch.
And I felt in a way he brought John Marino down all year.
Yeah.
John Marino just didn't have that same, sophomore slump, whatever. He just didn't have that same, I don't know, gusto or whatever about him this year. And I think a lot of it was due to him playing with Pettersson. And I think he felt like he needed to be, protective of Pettersson, and he needed to make very, very, very smart choices, and he can never take risks because Pettersson isn't always where he's supposed to be. And you kind of saw that with their pairing.
And the thing with Pettersson to me, and the reason that he has to, for cap reasons, they have to get rid of somebody. If they don't get rid of Pettersson, it's got to be Zucker in a trade. So not only are we going to lose a player to expansion, but you're going to lose a player to cap reasons because the cap is staying right where it was. And it will be for the next couple of years. That's what the NHL has predicted. So, Pettersson and Zucker, if you lose those two players to a combination of trade/expansion, I think that's your best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because those two players have not given you much on the ice. Zucker just hasn't fit. I think he's a good player. Pettersson has declined after being traded here and having a couple good months. Pettersson gets knocked over more than any other defenseman I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Wasn't
he the most hit?
Yes, he gets targeted. He gets targeted by opposition.
And I think when other teams are watching video, they see that that's our weakness.
Yes.
So, it's very easy to expose him on the ice.
I'll go out on a limb, and this is harsh towards Marcus Pettersson because I don't think he's a bad hockey player. You put him in a rough and tumble system and you make him be the puck mover, I think he's fine. In a system like ours where we're a bunch of puck movers, he's the guy you hit. If you put in P.O. Joseph, even at the age of 21, in his spot in the Islanders series, I think we take it to a Game 7. I really do. I just think he was absolutely mauled by their forecheck. And he turned the puck over and got out of position a lot because of it. And coming out of that division, going forward, we're going to need players who can make smart decisions under physical pressure. And he's not that guy.
And he just, I don't know, in our system, he just always seems a little lost.
Yeah.
And I think, that's just not something we saw from Letang and Dumoulin and Mike Matheson. And
he seems to want to play man-to-man when we're not playing man-to-man in our own zone. And it gets him into trouble. He'll chase plays and draw his defensive pairing out of position for very little reason sometimes.
Well, and it's not just affecting him. Like I said, so many times it's made John Marino look foolish, and we all know the kind of player John Marino is. And it would be really exciting to see who John Marino can develop into with a different pair.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And, like I said, I hope all of our problems would be solved if they would just take him, but that's probably not going to happen. But at the end of the day, no matter how we get him off a payroll, we need to find a way to move him to a different team, whether it's, trade, expansion, whatever. We need to find a way because he ain't it, and it's not fitting our team, and it's the easiest way to get better and get rid of salary.
I just hope that Matheson isn't the salary cap scapegoat because he really turned the whole unit around.
Yeah.
In a very short amount of time.
Well, and back to Matheson, just his speed alone, he is such a great skater. And when we go to games in person, we both always like find ourselves drooling over Chris Letang's skating. But
his crossover steps.
I think Mike Matheson might be right up there, if not better. And I know Sully had a quote about that this year. He said that he thinks Mike Matheson's the best skater on the team. And I think I agree, because when you see him skate in person, it is just a beautiful thing.
Having that dynamic element back there is so critical. And you just don't risk it. 4.8 for him is a deal, in my opinion, because he's still got room to grow at 27, just turned 27. So, all right, we're in agreement.
Yeah. Mike Matheson should be the third. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And if Mark Friedman is the last pick, I'm going to be very upset. So,
I mean, the only good thing is they probably won't take Matheson either. But yeah, and then Marcus Pettersson to the moon. Goaltending.
Always a point of contention. In Pittsburgh, it seems like the last 5 years.
And I think this is another reason we need to get rid of some salaries for the cap, because we probably need to get a goaltender.
Yep.
And we need to pay a goaltender. And if we're going to go get a veteran goaltender, we're going to need to pay a veteran goaltender. But obviously they're going to protect Jerry.
I'm not so sure about that.
I think that's a safe bet. I mean, they pretty much have already said he's going to be our goaltender come September. In my dream world, we protect Smith, of course. But I think that both goaltenders are going to be here next year.
So, I don't know. I really don't. Because this is one that this is going to come down to what Ron Hextall is thinking post-season, post-playoff, in 1 year, less than 6 months, not even with one team. Do you think Jari has enough innate potential to be a number one goalie? Or do you think DeSmith is just as capable? The thing that my mind keeps going back to, and I'm not a mind reader, so this is anybody's guess.
Well, also contracts.
Yes.
What, DeSmith makes about $2 million
not
less?
Even one. Yeah.
No, $2 million less than Tristan.
So Tristan makes 3.5 for 2 more seasons. DeSmith makes 1.25 for only 1 more season.
Right.
If you're going out there to look for a Tuukka Rask or someone.
Well, and honestly, with DeSmith on that contract for 1 more season, it's kind of like a tryout for him. Mm-hmm. Can he do it? Can he be the guy? And you sign a backup who is capable of being the guy in case he's not the guy.
Do you think? I guess I'm guessing I'm phrasing this in a very negative way. Do you think Tristan is worth protecting after that run? For 3.25.
I don't believe so, but I think that the organization will.
I think the organization wants to kick him in the butt. I do. I think after that, you let your whole team down. I do think they want to give him a little kick in the keister.
I mean, they're not going to. Seattle's not going to take him.
But wouldn't it be a heck of a motivation if the team basically said, yes, you have all this talent, but we really don't think you're worthy of protecting after that implosion. Well, maybe that would give him
that could incentive. Go one of two ways. It could help him or hurt him.
Yeah.
It's a risk. But
and the other question is, do you give up a value backup like DeSmith, who's capable of playing 30 to 35 games and putting up a high save percentage for an unknown? Because I don't think Seattle's going to take DeSmith either. I don't think.
No, I honestly think we have the same pair next year, the same goaltender pair. I hope that's not real and we go and get someone who can play, right. I think, we need a veteran, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we go with the same pair next year.
But wouldn't it be nice to have a DeSmith/Halak duo or DeSmith/Rask duo?
I think so.
But are they going to go there?
Then the other issue is, how do we get rid of Jari if he is not taken in the expansion draft?
I don't think you do. I think then you say, okay, now we're stuck with him. Get it together.
But if you want to go and get Rask or Halak or whatever,
I think you're stuck at that point. Maybe there's a deal out there.
I'm saying we don't have the money to keep to have those two and a veteran.
No. So I think you're stuck with Jerry DeSmith. I don't think there's going to be a taker for Jerry. I don't. And you're not going to get a decent backup for less than DeSmith's getting right now.
Yeah.
So in terms of value for player performance,
my
worry
is they send DeSmith back.
And he gets claimed.
Yeah. Or, I mean, even if he doesn't get claimed, my worry is he's claimed or in Wilkes-Barre and we go with Jerry and, a veteran. And I don't think DeSmith deserves that.
No.
DeSmith was good this year. And,
I just don't.
I think the playoffs would be I think we might still be in the playoffs right now if DeSmith wasn't hurt.
And are you really going to get that much better of a performance from a backup vet, than you would have from DeSmith this year, who was playing pretty good.
A 29-year-old. You're not probably going to get much from the only thing you'd get from a vet that you're not going to get from a DeSmith is playoff experience. And that kind of proved to be pretty big this year.
In Jarry's case.
Because you're going to have Sorokin. Yes. You have Sorokin who played an amazing round and he doesn't have any playoff experience.
I think it's also important to recognize that two of the last, 4 champions have been, rookie goaltenders, in Murray and Binnington.
Even Vasilevsky, he's young and he won.
Yeah. Vasilevsky had some playoff games under his belt.
Yeah, he did. But he's not, this big veteran tender, and you look at
Tuukka
Rask or something.
You look at Bobrovsky. How many games experience did he have? And he looks far worse than his backup Dredger, and he looks far worse than Spencer
Knight, yeah.
So how much is experience worth it? Paying an extra $2 million towards your very limited cap? Probably not very. I think it's overhyped. I think it's more important that you have a goaltender who is able to handle adversity with calmness. And that doesn't really happen just because of experience. That happens because of a mindset.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they could protect either. Seattle's not going to go with that.
Yeah, Seattle's not going to go with either.
And they're not going to. Frankly, they're not going to take an overpaid defenseman like Pettersson or
right.
Matheson.
We're going to have to deal with that in a different way.
Yeah. So ultimately, you're going to lose a very good forward, and hopefully Hextall doesn't try to make a bargain and just cuts his losses.
I think we're in agreement. No matter who who you protect in that third defensive spot or in that 6 or 7 forward spot, I think we're in agreement that Zucker is the odd guy out, and he's the one who will be heading to Seattle.
Unless they want to keep salary low, in which case they're more likely to take an Aston Reese or a Bluger.
Right.
But
they're both going to get a raise too, so it's
a marginal.
Not obviously as much as Zucker, but
yeah. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what Seattle wants with their forward core, what other pieces they pick up. It's going to be an auxiliary piece. It's not going to be an essential one for them.
Well, and I think that's the main thing. We're looking at it in a vacuum because we're only looking at the Pens. They're going to be looking at 31 teams and how they want to fit their team together. So, they may be thinking someone completely off the radar for us, depending on how their team fits, how they want their team to fit.
Thankfully, those rookies are protected, so you don't have to worry about that. But, all right, final thoughts. Do you think Seattle comes anywhere close to the success of the Golden Knights? Or do you think they fell well short of that? Somewhere in between?
I think that they'll be okay. I think the Knights were an anomaly in a way that you could tell because it was the first expansion in a long time that they all felt not hurt, but they felt like they had something to prove, and they felt like they call themselves the Misfits.
The Golden Misfits.
Yeah, and you can tell they felt like they needed to, do well. And I don't think that the Kraken are going to have that same mentality, because I feel like because the Knights expansion was so close to theirs, it's going to be a more regular thing.
So for me, I'm looking at the general manager. I don't know if he's GM or president of hockey ops, Ron Francis, and what he did with Carolina. He had a slower plan there. I wonder if they're not a playoff team their first season, but they go on the younger side of things. They get 2 or 3 good vets.
Are they? I guess they're in the Pacific, right?
They're in the Pacific.
So I mean,
they could.
Yeah, I think they're going to be right on the line of playoffs.
I just Edmonton's going to retool.
Well, I guess that's if the divisions. It depends, I guess, how the divisions are going to be.
They're going to do 6 divisions.
But in normal times, they'll be in the Pacific.
I see them as a bubble playoff team the first year, maybe 2, and I see them going for the younger players as opposed to what the Knights did, which is going for players who are, starting their primes.
Right. Right.
Because if Francis really does like what he's done in the past and he sticks to that sort of game plan, it's harder to get younger players. You're not going to get a bunch of 25-year-olds who are eligible for this, but I see that as the direction he leans.
Well, Marcus Pettersson is young, and they can have him.
Poor Marcus. Were we so lucky? But it'll be interesting to see how that team comes together and what the Penguins do to avoid, dismantling essential components of their team.
Right.
Anyway, thank you for bearing with us. Let us know what your thoughts were, what your list is. Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram. And I guess that's pretty much it. Until next time, this is Jess and Seth signing off.
Bye.